We always talk about how men need to learn how to pursue women, right? Because they do. They do need to learn that, right? We're masculine men are the pursuers out of men and women, right? Like we get the ball rolling, right? But here's the thing no one's talking about. Women need to learn how to be pursued, right? Because being a catch doesn't matter if you don't know how to create the type of energy that makes a man want to approach you in the first place, makes him drawn to you, makes him attracted to you, and makes him want to commit to you. And no, this is not about chasing men. So I don't need any one of my comments saying, "Oh no, I don't chase no man," right? You know, if they aren't going to come for me, then I don't want them, right? No, it's not what I'm saying. But this is about learning how to receive pursuit of a man in a way that invites love into the equation, right? It's more of an open door invitation versus unintentionally blocking it, right? Because that's what winds up happening more often than not with women that, men kind of back off from or don't lean into pursuing, right? You're giving off the vibes and the energy and the kind of presence that says, leave me alone. Then, hey, the door's open. Come on in and let's see where this may go. And I'm going to break down right now why this happens. See, most men from a young age are conditioned to pursue, right? At least that's the idea. Society does it, and, your parents, your friends around you, right? It's something we grow with doing, right? Or being a element of being a man, right? So with that comes we take the L's, right? We get rejected and we build a comfort through repetition, right? It's not like we like being rejected and taking the L's or whatever, but we kind of get used to it in a way because it's a part of being a man wanting to be with women. You have to go pursue them. And that doesn't mean all men become smooth or all men, sit in their masculine strength or power to go pursue and all that stuff. Not at all. But as a overall, as a whole, we're used to stepping up in that way, in that lane, in a general sense, right? Again, it's not all men. There's a lot of men out there that aren't pursuing at all. And there's a lot of nuance to it. There's modern day circumstances, all these things we can get into. But in a general base, that's what we're used to doing as men. Now, whether you're good or not at pursuing women as a man, right? That's up for debate, nor here nor there. The point is, overall, men are more accustomed to the song and dance of having to go get into a woman's space, masculine to feminine energy. And we're used to that dynamic of how that goes more regularly, right? But women, on the other hand, they are rarely to never taught how to handle or deal with masculine energy whenever it's presented to them directly, right? Let alone, or especially whenever it's a masculine man that they are genuinely attracted to and interested in, that they would actually like to talk to. See, more often, you'll find feminine women sometimes will have a harder exterior on their face or, to keep a certain body language or something that's stiff or, beeline, right? Looking straight ahead, not looking left, not looking right. And when they come across masculine energy, a lot of times it can feel almost threatening to them in a way. And for notable reasons, there's things out there in society, there's men out there that do, horrible things sometimes or what have you, or unhealthy men, I'll say, right? I never want to generalize all men to unhealthy acts because it's really just unhealthy people doing things. But yes, there's a lot of feminine women out there that had negative experiences with unhealthy masculine men. And so you kind of get used to being in this kind of defensive measure to where you kind of, keep that exterior on and then that don't mess with me kind of look and energy on the regular. It's just like a base way to just carry through life because, hey, this world can be dangerous to a feminine woman, right? With unhealthy masculine men running around, right? That can be a real thing to where if you're out by yourself or different things, you feel you have to keep a harder exterior or something like that just to make sure you're looking out for yourself. I get it. Or maybe you've gone through a traumatic experience in the past directly, or you have a close friend or relative that has gone through something that you're like, hey, you got to be on your P's and your Q's with men out here. I understand. But understand this, that starts to create a conditioning. And because as a feminine woman, you don't sit heavily in your masculine energy, then you don't get those reps of dealing with masculine energy when it's presented in that, masculine frame of a man, that it can make you want to try to match hard to their hard, right? In an unintentional way. It's just you trying to operate. But what happens is, whenever that becomes the norm, now if you're in passing of a masculine man that maybe you like, or, is what you actually do want, you still carry a defensive or guarded frame, right? That can happen oftentimes. Now, obviously, it's not every woman doing this or what have you, but a lot of times this winds up being the case and they don't even realize it. And think about it like this. It's almost the same thing as a lot of masculine men getting awkward or weird or don't know what to do whenever he has to sit in his emotions, more of his feminine energy, to connect with his woman and talk through different things or what have you, right? And she's trying to go deep about stuff and really connect. And he's like trying to figure what can I say to end this conversation as fast as possible to get out of this moment, because it's not comfortable for me, because he hasn't had a lot of time cultivating the muscle of sitting in his emotions or feelings to, not feel triggered or not feel awkward in them. And he can sit there comfortably and connect with this woman. The muscle's not there, right? He hasn't had a lot of reps in the gym with that. Same thing for a lot of feminine women that spend a lot of time around other women and, maybe women's conferences and their friends and all the things, to where that direct and raw masculine energy and presence isn't there all the time. And if you put on top of that some of the nuance of things happening in society and some unhealthy men out here doing different things, it's really easy to get locked into when a really front-facing masculine man presents himself, or he's in your presence, that you kind of become hardened, or you try to like make sure you're measuring yourself well around this man to not maybe feel like prey on some sort of subconscious level, right? Or make sure that you're okay and you're safe. Because masculine energy in that regard, with that kind of polish to it, has been kind of conditioned to be bad in a way, right? Or something that's dangerous or potentially dangerous, and these different things that goes on. So you carry a norm of a hardened exterior. But the problem is, whenever it's that guy that you actually want, because watch this, a lot of times, if a masculine man is around, just truly sitting in his strength and being him or whatever, if you're not into him at all, sometimes you'll see feminine women will be kind of cautious about that man because it's his presence, because that energy that sometimes gets associated with the toxic masculine men that use it in the wrong way, it kind of sets off those alerts to say, hey, let's look out for this guy. But when you watch any love story drama or whatever the case is, and they have masculine men in there, they carry that exterior and that frame that man maybe out in the park or whatever did. Right. But it's seen differently because it's being framed in the fantasy. Right. It's this is what you actually do want. But when you put it into real world circumstances, there's nuance to it that, you don't see it the same way you would like to see it, because the guard's up a little bit. So if you're out there in public and your norm is being on guard for these masculine men, but then whenever the masculine man you actually want comes by, you're out of practice with how to respond to that energy. Now, it's almost like trying to play in a championship game, right? You've been being hardened all this time, or you haven't been practicing. You haven't been practicing the thing you need to practice to win the championship. And you show up to the championship, you try to say, I'm gonna flip the switch, I'm gonna turn it on now. And now it's not hitting the way that you would want it to hit. And what becomes more likely in those moments are when a woman thinks that she's doing this great job, right, at showing this man that she's interested, right? But in reality, maybe she freezes. She's not being feminine and soft the way, she likes to be. She kind of doesn't know how to respond because she's not used to having a man that she's really into cross her path or what have you. And now she has to respond to that. Or maybe she overthinks it now, or she gets stiff, or she starts trying to play it cool now and all the things. And she thinks she's, playing it cool, but it's really just coming off as cold. it's falling flat on his end. He's not feeling the connect, not feeling the vibe the way that she was intending to give it, or at least thinks that she's giving it. And that woman in that moment may think to herself, well, I smiled a little. I wasn't mean, or I didn't say anything mean, and I was chill, right? But the vibe she's giving off is saying, I'm unapproachable, disinterested, and uninviting, right? And this makes me think of this podcast I was watching not that long ago. Forgive me, I would give the name of it and shout them out, but I just can't remember it off the top of my head right now. But they had a couple guests on that were, like, I guess, experts around communication and talking about relationships and things. So obviously that piqued my interest as a coach that does this, right? So I'm watching them, they had this test setup they did where they set up a blind date between this man and this woman. And they were monitoring from afar, and the woman beforehand coached both of them up on how to navigate going into the date to make sure they can, get the best experience they can out of it. And while they were on the date, and as you're watching it, you wouldn't be able to tell that woman was interested in this guy at all. She was giving no cues, no signs. She was playing it cool, right? She was being chill and all the things. And she wasn't giving him really any angles of entry to kind of open things up. So he's kind of stiff. He's trying to tread lightly and not say the wrong thing because she's not really budging on much. She's not giving any, validating type of body language and all these things, even though they're having kind of pleasant convo to a point, but it just seems more just friendly, not romantic interest wise, right? And so you would never be able to tell. You would think she, it's over for him. He doesn't really have much of a chance. But after the date, they had a follow-up to kind of talk to both of them and see how they both felt about things and all that. And she said she liked him a lot, thought he was great, but she would never know it because she wasn't giving the right vibes and energy off, right? She wasn't giving him signals that says, hey, I'm enjoying your pursuit. I like it. I like you. I'm into you. Or the things you're saying to me are fascinating and all these things. Because she said they were fascinating. She did think he was really, really cool and great and all these things. And so my main point here is you have to start practicing sitting in your femininity a certain way before you get to the dance, right? Because when you don't, the signs and signals you think you're giving off, you're not giving off. Now, granted, to be fair here, on his end, as a masculine man, he could have led the date a little bit better to try to pull some things out more and all that. Yeah, that's on him. But he still can't be a mind reader. And on her end, she wasn't giving him much to work with. So when a woman is carrying or putting out that disinterested, uninviting energy, right? That's why, and again, this is mostly unintentional, right? Who wants to intentionally give off a repelling energy, right? I get it. But if you're not aware enough and you're giving off these kind of vibes, right? Because maybe you're trying to play it too cool or whatever the case is, that's not femininity. It's emotional tension. And that guy can feel it, just like that guy on that, on that date when I watched the video they were showing. He felt tense to him. He didn't know what to do. And most high value masculine men are not going to walk into an energy that feels closed off. You don't have time for it. Like, why? I mean, think about it like this. If there's a man that is high in value, right? At least by societal standards, right? Now, granted, yes, we all are valuable as people and so forth and so forth. But when it comes to high value in the sexual marketplace, if you will, or the dating marketplace, that comes back to how highly desired you are by the opposite sex or their counterparts or whoever's looking for you, right? How well of what you possess do they want? That sets the high values. And again, it's not just the status, not accolades, it's not money, it's not cars and all those things. Yes, those may play a factor because it's resources. It shows that you handle your business, you put work in to have these things. But in addition to, it's the principles and morals you live by, right? It's your emotional intelligence and awareness and availability, how well you can show up and how well you can reassure someone, all the things, right? That really makes a man high value go beyond just the basics of, accolades or accomplishments or money or whatever, right? Although those are important factors. So whenever that's the case, then what we start realizing is, a man of that magnitude, that takes care of himself, he's put together, he's polished, he's all the things, he's going to be highly sought after, right? He's going to be, not pursued, but he's going to be checked for by a lot of women out there because he represents that 20% that 80% of women want. So if that's the case, he's not even going to bat an eye at the woman that gives energy that feels even the remote bit closed off. Why would he? Because he has options. He's going to choose who he feels the best with, right? The best connection, the best vibes, the most alluring to him, to at least give his attention to try to find out more, learn further, right? Go from the introductions to one date to maybe the second date. That's what he's going to do. He's not going to continue that journey with a woman where things feel difficult or feel off or don't feel good. See, a lot of women think they're giving signals because for them, showing even a little softness feels like a lot, right? But if your norm is hard, steel-faced, don't bother me energy, then your flirty is going to land flat, silence, right? It's going to be quiet. It's going to the guy, it's going to feel like you're doing the minimum, if that at best. Like anything else, feminine energy needs practice. You have to practice things that you want to be and that you are, right? You can't go your whole life with your guard up, then expect that out of nowhere, one day when the guy you want shows up, you're going to magically just exude all of this softness now, this warmth, or, let him feel the fullness of your feminine energy. It doesn't work that way. It's not a light switch. Again, it's like showing up to a championship game after putting in no practice reps and expecting to play your best. It just doesn't work that way. So practice being receptive. Smile in passing. When you're passing a masculine man, give him a smile. Takes nothing from you, right? Now I get it. Don't overdo it if you don't want to give the wrong impression to a man that you're not into or what have you. But just the point is practicing being pleasant in that, right? Or you want to soften your tone, right? You make sure the delivery of how you say things and so forth is more in your soft, feminine essence and not more of your masculine, assertive presence when it's not needed. Hold eye contact with grace, not tension, right? Let there be a softness in your eyes, not an intensity, right? Allow yourself to be seen without fear. It should be gracious to look at you, right? It should feel pleasant to just look at you. You're supposed to embody the symbol of beauty. I've always believed that women are the beauty out of the human race, human species. Of course, you can see a man and think he's beautiful as well and all that, but women tend to symbolize or symbolic of beauty, in my opinion, for us as humans, right? So be that. Don't convey anything but that from you, right, on your end, unless necessary to give more of your masculine presence and more of that guard to someone that appropriately deserves it, right? And understand, please, that that's not doing the most, right? Or it's not you putting yourself out there to vulnerably and to setting yourself up for failure. No, it's training your nervous system to receive love from the right person. Because just because you show more of a pleasant base and you're more open energy wise and you're more welcoming in the vibrations you give off, doesn't mean all of your vetting is going to go out the window. Doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to forget to look out for certain red flags and all that stuff, and you're going to just let any and every guy into your life that shouldn't be there, right? This doesn't mean that at all. But it means you can monitor and vet and operate and act accordingly with a grace to you and a lighthearted presence to you. It's actually going to be a lot more freeing for you and a lot more stress-free, stressless, if you will, versus being tense and stiff and on your guard all the time and keeping this exterior and all these things that don't help you get the results you actually want to get. And I'll say this, if you want to give yourself a real good opportunity to test this or start building those feminine muscles, to start really seeing how well you are being polarity for that masculine energy, just to get yourself better at it, to make sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's, go to, I don't know, maybe a sports bar somewhere one day or some place where you can be in a social setting around masculine men, right? And practice being feminine and in your softness around them. Two things happens when you do something like this. One, you're going to be in real time getting to get direct feedback and seeing how they respond to you, to know how well you are being that polarity, that feminine to that masculine, right? And here's a little key, right? The more masculine men around you naturally start wanting to accommodate you and do things to, towards your favor, make sure you're good and look after you. And they start becoming like more naturally just protectors of you. Now, granted, a masculine man that has certain principles and morals is going to do this for any woman around him, period. But you'll notice if it seems like these masculine men are all gravitating towards doing that for you by how well you sit in your feminine energy and how well you attract and allure them with your energy, with your polish, right? And I'll say this as well. Some women just look really attractive, period, no matter how they're sitting in their energy. And initially, masculine men will kind of come and cater towards that direction. But if your energy isn't, pleasant enough, or it's not, polarizing enough to them, they'll leave you alone quicker than later, right? Sooner than later. So that'd be the first thing that it kind of tell you how well you're doing at being alluring to the men around you and kind of your feminine and speaking to their masculine. But then the second thing it's going to allow you to do is build more comfortability with feeling secure in your femininity around masculine energy, so that whenever you're just out and about, you don't feel like you need to harden necessarily as often or as much as maybe you feel like you used to before when you're passing by a notably masculine man or masculine presenting man, right? You can have more comfort and security in your own feminine skin. I've said it before, but being a high value woman isn't just about, what you can do or what you've done or your accolades and all those things. It's probably actually a lot less about that for a masculine man, right? No, it's more about who you are and how you are whenever love shows up and tries to approach you, right? So don't just be the prize. Be the prize who carries a feminine presence that invites pursuit. See, there's a ton of really valuable women out there, but their energy is not inviting the pursuit of the man they actually want to all their awesome prize worthiness. Because the woman who knows how to be pursued doesn't just get approached. No, she gets chosen. And that's a big, big difference. If you need help learning how to sit better in your femininity, or learning the blind spots of where you're missing it already, that's maybe sabotaging the dating results you want to get, or if you even want help learning how to vet the men better out there so you can sit more softly in your feminine energy, not worry about having to be hardened for the men coming around whatever corner because you're really well vetted, then email or DM me the word coaching and we will get to work, only if you're truly ready to put that work in. If you're not ready for one-on-one coaching, don't have the time, space, or maybe even the resources, then at the very least, get my book, Joker Proof Dating, back here on Amazon. Again, I can put the link down in the comments if you need me to do that, so you can learn a lot of the same things I teach my clients one-on-one at your own pace, on your own time. But either way, do something to get in the race. Let's get it.